everybody's gonna watch it. It's not good to record.
Why not?
I'm terrified of
Let's talk about the phosphonetic forces in this Cadillac right here.
Only if you pointed at the car first. I'll tell you when you pointed at me.
They're losing interest.
No, I just gotta think of what to say. I'm only good at talking in the moment. Like,
I'm not putting you on the spot.
I'm terrified of phones and fields and shit. But I'll say it, I guess. The minute electrical charges that are triggered when you touch a touch device, a mouse pad, a phone, all that stuff. It's the equivalence of going to the North Pole and hitting yourself with a tiny bolt of lightning, a non-violent, non-deadly bolt of lightning, and assisting to speak with the archangels or God or demons or whatever your choice of word is for the being you communicate with. So how is it possible for a community to upgrade a cell phone to a touch device without understanding that someone somewhere in the world had to sacrifice all their spirituality, all their paths to magnetic north, possibly even kill some of their children? They didn't even teach what phosphenes would make you have to go to north, would make you have to go to the forest and build a home or a den. What phosphenes might or might not mean holographic inserts. Like, I don't believe that there's a such thing as reincarnation. I believe that there's holographic visual effects, and that if the holographic field, like I can shift both my hands to look like ETs, like I'm an extraterrestrial in front of people. But the gloves don't shift. It's only my skin, and it's only for a split second. To make it permanent, I would have to shift it, rise elevation, and then fall back down again. Even if I just run up a mountain, it doesn't have to be floating. Doesn't have to be none of the shit they promoted. It doesn't nothing to do with gods and goddesses, angels. It's where you put your mind when you go up and down, dreaming you're going back and forth to magnetic north or down to the equator to bring a storm. Because those fields were never taught, the last 300 years of technological developments are illegal. Amish families have to fight just to live in a normal daily life. They don't want the power lines. They don't want people honking at their livestock that's pulling them down the road in their wagons. That's rude to know that if I train my horse from a wild horse into a fully trained horse that can pull me, I become clair-auditory connected to the animal in equivalence of a human that has a trinity of angels. The horse is technically one of his angels now. And if a random person beeps a horn at that horse while it's going down the road, you just went illegally through two individuals just for your own fun, for your own idea of free will. You tortured two people out of their connection to their natural way of life. And that's supposed to be illegal. That's not welcome, man. That's like saying, I'm allowed to drag you guys out of your car because I hallucinated a word. If I'm not allowed to drag them out of the car because of hallucination and Amish people aren't, who's going to defend us one day when the technological developments are no longer stoppable? When we have a drone race of government that wants to execute the real people in the streets and then treat the drones like they're humans. Who's going to help it? The federal government already said about 10 years ago the Pentagon's no longer operated by the United States of America. All the technology associated with the Pentagon and the CIA is illegal. Any human that's operating those forms of technology are subject to treason if our law enforcement gets their act right. But right now, half of our government, half of our local and state law enforcement is using the same technology. They're subject to treason themselves. They're actually subject to being charged with impersonating federal government because of the actions. We're hiding behind a system of illegal promotions of free will. People don't even know where free will comes from. The idea of free will has to do with if I'm allowed to do what I get away with. Well, then we're in for a scary world over the next 30 years. The phosphonetics, if you push on your eyeballs, this creates war. Technically, after saying what I'm going to say, I would be banned from China, Russia, Japan, Africa, every country, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Not on the black web.
No,
the dark net.
Put this on the internet, man.
Oh, it's going on the dark net.
Put it on YouTube.
I got a YouTube channel. Jacob Allen.
When you push on your eyeballs and then ignore all the colors holding pressure on your eyeballs, Like, kind of like you're dreaming that you're going back into your head, but not out the back of your head. Just into a dream state without turning the inner eye on. Eventually it turns into tiny little blue sparkles. You see little blue sparkles everywhere. That's a grid of suns. That's the gravitational centers of all of the suns that Earth is allowed to connect to. But if you have never programmed it over your entire life, you have to start with this sun. I've already stolen 250 suns through the cosmos. I've programmed one man who's burned with Sanskrit and one man who's burned with stolen Soviet laser burn technology, and I programmed them to suns without telling them. So right now, those two individuals are at war with random cities that they go to around the world just because I moved my mind that way. That's supposed to be illegal, and nobody's walking up to say that either. How is all these people allowed to walk with handcuffs and guns? Walk speaking through illegal media devices, and they're not even promoting a healthy lifestyle. It's not safe to live in these cities. It's barely safe to feel the warmth of the sun on our hands right now because of the illegal technological developments. If that phosphonetic system right now that I just spoke of was used by a large number of people, they would all turn like Mecca to one human, like me, which has already taken the sun. And then what do? I stand there and I fight 100,000 people? The only reason it would happen now is because I said it to this only video, and I'm saying it will be put on the internet.
It will be.
So now we get to predict the future, me and you.
Yes.
This would predict the future event. I have a system to make rows of horns down the right side of my skull, and I already grew the first one. I have the dimples to make my set of satanic wings grow out the back of my spine and fly into the air, not levitation, fly with wings, satanically, in a holographic extraterrestrial form. And I don't know how to tell the world why they're all wrong. It's not okay for them to promote God and angel right now, or demon and heaven and hell. There's not even a safe place for an extraterrestrial or God to land on this earth. They can't just pick an area, blast with their ray guns a big empty field, and then say we're gonna land. All of the systems from freight companies tap the aurora field at magnetic north so they can communicate with their truck drivers and view the payloads, their freight loads. So right now, if an extraterrestrial that wanted to land here, they would have to connect through the aurora field, through an illegal electromagnetic system that they can't get off their body because they didn't know it's on this earth, and then they'd have to blast a hole in the earth as big as a crater just for a safe place to land. How is that acceptable?